Thank you for tuning into Balance Black Girl. My name is Les. I am your host, and this conversation is all about exploring the different ways that we can be healthy, happy, thriving in our lives through various seasons. So I'm joined today by a special guest who could really teach us a masterclass about doing the best with what we've got, finding joy through all seasons. Please join me in welcoming Miss Nicole Walters through the podcast entrepreneur, podcast host, TV personality, mother, now author of new memoir, Nothing is Missing, which is available today. Nicole, welcome.
Oh, you're so sweet, Les. I love whenever I get these intros that kind of really set the bar high, and then I immediately drop that bad boy. I mean, not you started with a masterclass. I'm not kidding. I was eating easily 4 pieces of cheddar in the back of my Uber on the way here. Like, I went in on that cheese. That was breakfast.
That's great. That's a high protein snack. I hear no problems.
Listen, you better reaffirm me. This is going to be high value right out the gate. I hope everyone's enjoying.
Exactly. So first I have to say, the day this episode's coming out is your book launch day. Congratulations. Happy book launch.
Thank you. It's interesting because when you record these in advance, it's like you're thinking about that mental fast forward, you know, and I am in this moment, right, wherever I am, and you are listening to this, probably freaking out. I'm probably like, it's been 4 years in the making, writing a book. So thank you for holding space for me on this day. I'm trying not to get teary about all of a sudden. Thank you for holding space for me on this day. It's a very important day for me. Thank you.
Absolutely. 4 years.
Yes, writing a book, because I started off writing a book about business, and I think this all ties into our chat. About 2 years into the process, I got a divorce, you know, as I was trying to really understand where I wanted my life to evolve. And, you know, as relationships sort of came to their conclusion, and that just wasn't honest anymore. And so I ended up pitching it, rewriting, and this book was one of the top deals of 2021. So I'm really thankful because I leaned into myself, and here I am now.
I think that's a really beautiful act of honesty and vulnerability to be able to pivot in that way. Because when it comes to business, you know business. You could probably write a business book in your sleep.
Well, I mean, honestly, I can pretty much confidently say I was in corporate for, over a decade. I run a corporate consulting company. So now I have about 20 years under my belt of doing corporate work. So it's formulaic for me, and I'm very good at it, and I have the stats to support it. But why would I tell you, you know, what I did to get here if I haven't explained why I did it and the discovery process of the why? Because the last thing I want to do is teach someone how to make $1, teach them how to keep it, but not teach them how to live a full and complete life.
Right. Ooh, that's a word right there.
Write it down, y'all. Star. The book's full of it.
And I think that that's just a really solid foundation, because we get very caught up in these external markers of success. And I would love to hear your experiences with that. Have you been caught up in external markers of success? How has your definition of success changed over time?
Sure. So I'm not going to lie, even in this book tour season promotion, like I said, today is publication day, right? So, you know, I have had to constantly remind myself, it doesn't matter how this book does outside of getting it into as many hands to impact people with this story. It does not matter how many I sell in a number. It does not matter, even though these are all coming out of corporate, you know, we're stuck on reporting, we're stuck on numbers, you know, coming out of African parents who are like, why are you not a doctor or a lawyer? You know, even my mom called me the other day, like, it's not too late. You can go to medical school. And even before 45, you know, you can be doctorate of anything, you know, and maybe even have twins. And I'm like, Mom, listen, okay, ease up, you know. So, I mean, I get markers thrown at me all the time. And I think a lot of women can relate to that, and marginalized women can relate to that, where we are constantly told that we have only reached a point. It's an ever moving target if we hit these things. Always. And when I started shedding that was when I really found myself.
Absolutely. So you had a moment you've had a lot of moments.
I've had a lot of moments, girl. Like, I'm having a moment right now. I mean, my Spanx are cutting into my midsection. Like, and I tell you, it's like, at first it seemed like a good idea because I was like, oh, it's loose, you know, but this will give me a little snatch. It's a moment. We're all in it together, y'all. Why should I sit there by myself? This is what it is.
Right. Thank you for letting us in on that. We keep it transparent. Yes. One of the moments that you had online, which I was honored to be a lurker in the audience, you know, almost a decade ago, was when you quit your job live on Periscope when was that? 2014,
Periscope doesn't even exist anymore.
No.
That was Twitter's live feature.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't even exist. I think they sold, which like good on them, right?
Yeah.
Exit strong. But that was about 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I would love to hear a bit, Nicole then to Nicole now. How has how you approached your work, your life changed since you made that leap?
Wow, that's big. And I do talk about this in Nothing is Missing a little bit because I haven't shared much around the behind the scenes. People thought they were seeing the whole story and they did see the story in so much as I was living it real time. But I didn't understand what I was living, right? Like how many of us don't understand, I have 3 kids, don't understand parenting while you're in it, you know, but when you look back, you're like, ooh, I really should not have done that, you know, like, or, oh, I could have done that differently. So what's great about my book is I have the lessons pulled out. But 10 years ago, I just become a mom. I'd only been it for about 1 or 2 years to 3 incredible girls. I adopted them at ages 3, 11, and 14, sisters. And I tell more of that story in the book, but you know, I met their mother on the side of the road and she was incarcerated after a month. And so I took in these 3 girls. And I didn't know what that meant. I was like 28, you know what I mean? I just was like, I'm trying to help and I'll just figure it out as I go. But the pressure was on, you know, and corporate world is demanding. And I knew I needed to make more money and have more time. And I knew I could also consult. I already knew consulting was a thing that I could do independently. That wasn't a crazy concept. So I went ahead and did that. And I was making great revenue. And so I decided I was going to quit my job, which is what you saw, you know, was me having this quit day. What I didn't know at that time was how much I was living for other people, other milestones, and other markers. And how, and actually, I don't think I've ever said this to anyone before. I talk about it in the book, but I've never said this out loud. I didn't realize how you can have external validation and life driver points that are great, right? Like wanting to work and make sure your kids are doing well is great. You know, wanting to work in a service-based job, whether it's like nonprofit sector, whatever. There's lots of things that uniformly everyone will say, good on you, you're a good person. Like you do all this. But when you do that at the expense of your own well-being, it will catch up with you no matter what.
It will.
And long story short, over the next 10 years, that's what that was. You know, my middle daughter at age 17 was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She's fine now, but that was a journey.
My goodness.
You know, we moved to Atlanta. We filmed a TV show. We all went through the pandemic, you know, and at the end of it all, I realized I'd spent the past decade trying to hit these markers, make sure everyone's stable, make sure everyone's good. And I was living for my family, but I did not include myself as part of family. And my blood pressure was 173 over 153, you know, which normal is 120 over 80. I was in stroke range. I was suffering from facial paralysis. You know, half of my face was paralyzed, which in my field is not the greatest in this industry, you know? And I was so deeply unhappy. And when I realized the world was reopening, I didn't want to be out there. And that's a problem. You know, I had everything and I felt like I was nothing. And so I started that journey over the next year to find out what was missing. And at the end of it all, that was when I realized not a single thing. You know, I wasn't looking for something else. I was looking for myself. And that's what I share in this book. You know, once I figured out the why, what I was supposed to be doing had so much clarity.
Oh my God. You just said so much gems, goodness, pieces that we need to rewind and take a few pieces out of that incredible story that you just shared. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. One of the things you said that really stuck out to me was you were so focused on taking care of your family and you did not see yourself as part of your family. Like taking care of you didn't consider that taking care of family. I cannot imagine how many women probably feel that way and probably just had the biggest aha moment hearing you say that.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you how I had that moment. And this is, I don't want to say sad, but true, you know, it's just an awareness point. My daughter was drawing a picture of family, you know, and in drawing that photo, she drew all of us, you know, and she included herself in that picture. And I remember thinking to myself, when I describe family, I would talk about everybody else. You know, and I'm not kidding, down to the point of going to restaurants and they would say reservation for how many? And I would say, oh, reservations for 4, because I wasn't counting myself. I was counting what I could see.
Yeah.
And I started realizing there were lots of patterns where I was subtracting myself from the mix. I would order food and I would forget to order something for myself and end up eating something I had at home. You know, like, oh, I got everyone else a burrito, but I forgot to add my own order. And I realized I was truly forgetting myself as part of family, even though everyone else sees me. And was I relying on them to, you know, pitch in and take care of me? You know, that's not reasonable. I have to take care of myself. And there's no pride in setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. And I just had to make the shifts. You know, I needed to be here to take care of my kids.
Realizing that your daughter's picture is what kind of sparked that for you.
It did. I was like, she draws me in there. You know, but I'm not including myself in family. And that's not okay.
It's an example of how much kids can teach us, how they're so wise and the best teachers.
Way too wise. Way too wise. I mean, like, she made a card for me for Mother's Day and she was like, I'm going to list, I was like, it was so cute. I overheard her talking to my middle one. What is a Mother's Day card? And she was maybe 5 at the time. And she was like, well, you know, you just say nice things about mom, you know, and then say, I love you. And then whatever. So she goes off, grabs a pencil, folds a piece of paper. She starts writing in there. She's like, mom makes lots of money. She has nice edges, you know, she looks thin today because she has a Peloton, you know, like, it was just like all these things. She was like, she gives good hugs, the best hugs, you know, and she's such a good mom. I love you. Happy Mother's Day. And I was like, this child understands me on a level I don't understand myself. I do have nice edges, you know, like it was just like, but it also is a reminder that they're taking things in.
They see it all.
What are we teaching them? And I tell you, when she started approaching 11, the idea of taking care of myself, when I know that, especially as a Black woman, the world really does see us as a source of productivity. Like, what can you do to contribute? What do you do? Your worth is in your work. You know, and I cannot raise babies that think that they are nothing but to be spent, you know, and I need them to know their worth exists when they wake up. And it's not in what you do all day. You're worthy when you wake up. So I had to live it. You know, it's been hard though. I have to tell you, this is like, this part of the journey, building the business part, entrepreneurship is like hard. You know what I mean? But there are answers. There's people who share their answers, that talk about it. And I thought that was hard when people were watching it. No, this like self-love, figuring out, being grown post-divorce, you know, eat right, drink your water, exfoliate stuff is trash. It is so hard.
It is hard. Because there's no metrics. There's no like
nothing,
gold star, grade.
It's just hard.
You just got to keep doing it.
And not enough people talk about the hard. Everyone's all the internet posting their quotes, reposting We the Urban, talking about today's a day that you step into your process. You know, and I'm like, what is the process though? I'm ready to step.
The process is hard.
It's hard. It's really hard. I'm stressed over here, you know, but it's the highs and lows, you know, and also realizing that you're going to do really, really great for a season and then you will absolutely dip. So like, it's not like it's permanently over and that you shouldn't feel bad about needing a fresh start or starting over. That's actually part of the growth. And I would, you know, in my book, I talk about the value of fresh starts. I talk about starting over and that we have got to take ownership over it as a good thing. Like, for instance, when I got divorced, one of the things that people kept saying was, people meaning like the general internet space, you know, oh, she got too good for her situation. And so she left, you know, like without me sharing what it was about, you know, the divorce, because people divorce for lots of reasons. But what was interesting to me, and that wasn't the reason, obviously, but what was interesting to me was this concept that we really feel we can look at another human and say to them, you've evolved, you've grown, and you should remain where you are.
How dare you?
How dare you? That's bananas. Like, if you are getting better and you want to continue to up level, and that includes leaving behind a job, a career, a way of life, a habit, you know, friends, whatever it is, as you step into more of yourself, girl, put on them Nikes and go.
Absolutely.
You know, that is good for you and we should celebrate it. And I think that that's very much where I am right now.
100%. I love that. I love that. One of the things that you also mentioned earlier when you were sharing a piece of your story, which was like I was a little bit startled when you said it, of like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of power in that. When you said you had everything but felt like nothing. Can we dig into that a little bit?
Not you trying to make me cry on your podcast. Look at, do y'all see these interview skills? You see what she's giving right now? Do you see what she's giving?
You can't say that and think I'm gonna forget.
No, what you're giving right now is like full on Gayle King, Barbara Walters. Like it's like, so what did you mean when you said I'm not enough? Right? Like that is like, I don't know, Barbara. So, okay. So I will tell you, I felt like nothing because so much of my worth was in seeing others smile and being okay. And I talk about this moment in my book. We'd just gotten back from a trip to Jamaica and we'd flown there like first class, we're comfortable, we rented a villa, we had a chef staff, we were on the beach. I mean, truly a trip of your dreams, right? I got to watch my babies in and out of an ocean. Like there's just so much there that was like so full. And I came back and I'm sitting on, my couch in my home, my beautiful home, a girl who slept on a couch until I was 12 in a 1-bedroom apartment. I am living beyond my greatest dreams. Yeah. And I was alone. Everybody was asleep, I didn't have companionship, and I just remember being in that moment and being so confused about what was next. Yeah. Like everyone's okay, but I don't know what to do with myself. Yeah. Like I just keep working. Like I can buy whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. Like I have all the things. I do impactful work. I help people. Yeah. But I feel like there's nothing next. And it's weird because people look from the outside and they're like, well, you just keep showing up. You keep doing that. But it was the same thing as like corporate, right? Do you just keep clocking in every day? Like, is that what it is? What's next? And that was compounded by the fact that when I quit my job, for anyone who tuned in that day, one of the things I said to my boss was, I came to you and I said, I want to, what's next in this career? And he said, nothing. He was like, you're going to work here for a while, until there's a role, and then you'll move up. Yeah. And that was my reason I quit. So here I was, almost at that point, 7 years later, asking myself the same question. And I was like, nope, I can't be here 10 years from now asking myself what is next because I'm not happy. Oh, I'm definitely trying not to get teary about it. That I'm not happy where I am ever. Yeah. Like I was in Jamaica thinking about work. I was at home thinking about Jamaica. I was never happy where I was. Yeah. And right now, there's so much in my life that's wrong. There's a quote I use in my book regularly. Everything's right, everything's wrong, but nothing is missing. Right now, I'm getting ready to travel to London, and then Greece and, just doing all this book stuff. Yeah. And I am so excited about it. It's such a blessing and I'm so excited to be there. But I also have to leave home, and I have an incredible fiance and incredible babies and my life is so great and I want to be home. I also am sitting here talking to you right now and I could do this forever. You're like so wonderful and so talented. And, for those of y'all who may listen and not really see Les's face, she's beautiful. She is just a joy to look at. She's using all of God's gifts, right? And I appreciate that from you. This is truly in this moment so wonderful. And the goal of therapy is presence. Yeah. So the idea that I am happy wherever I am now means I'm happy with me, which means I'm doing it right. And nothing is missing. I have nothing extra. I didn't add anything. If anything, a lot's changed and I've like lost things. Yes. But man, do I feel complete. Yes. And that's how I know I'm doing it right. And it isn't measured by anything else.
Yes. Nothing outside of yourself.
Nothing is missing. Yes. I got all the things.
Because the target will always move.
It will.
Every time.
And people will try to get in your head for marketing reasons to tell you what it should be. And there's nothing scarier than that, having someone come in and say you wanted this and then you chase after it only to discover that wasn't even it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have finally at least understood what it feels like as a baseline now. And so, yes, I still fall off of it. Yes, like I said in this book tour at the beginning of this chat, I'm trying not to make sure I'm validated by how many people show up in the tour, how many, if 3 people show up, I get 3 people, like 3 people who showed up for my book. That's crazy. And maybe afterwards we'll go out for ice cream because it's such a small group. You know what I mean? Like whatever. There's like goodness in
intimate.
that.
That's beautiful.
Right. There's goodness in that, and that's enough. And I can be happy with that because I get to be in that moment there that day, you know? Yeah. So much joy.
Thank you so much for sharing.
See how she pulls stuff out of you? Talent, skills.
Just doing my job.
You're so good at this. You're so gifted.
Thank you. Thank
Such
you.
a blessing.
When I heard the title of your book, Nothing is Missing, it stuck out to me so much because I think it's a very important thing to continuously repeat to ourselves, but it can also be a really great way to set a boundary.
That's good.
It is, because I was having a conversation with my dad a few months ago, whom I love, and he was giving me some unsolicited advice about dating.
Bless it. We love
that. And I did not want it.
Yeah, we love that. We love that.
Because every time we have those conversations, they just don't end well. And I've like tried to set that boundary with him of like, I love you and appreciate your input about so many things, but this is an area of my life that like, this just isn't where we need to be. And he kept going on and on about it. And finally I said, Dad, I love my life. And I know you think if I get this partner or whatever guy you think I should have, that I will be happier, but nothing is missing for me. I said that to him months ago.
Yes.
And he got it. And he hasn't brought it up since. Like the boundary was enforced. When I told him, I am happy, nothing is missing. It was like, boom. And so this conversation with you is just reminding me of that moment.
I hope everyone took that, because that is also extremely, one, affirming your boundaries, right?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Massive, especially with family. Oh,
yes,
so hard,
you
know, so hard. But yeah, you're right. I mean, when you tell people nothing is missing, it is a very clean and nice way to say, mind your business.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Mind your business. I know I'm on the journey and I got it, you know, and that is very true. But when I tell you, I say nothing is missing to myself all the time. And it's a constant reminder. It's a very quick way to recalibrate myself back to, honestly, away from scarcity.
Yes.
It's my response to fear. You know, whenever I'm like, gosh, do I have enough money? Do the kids have enough? My 12-year-old just had a sleepover for the first time. And I was like, am I watching the kids? Am I doing everything I need to do? And I'm like, you know what? Nothing's missing. Even if something comes up, I have what I need. And I need to get out of the mindset of thinking, what am I looking for that I don't have? So that all my energy is focused on utilizing what I do have.
Yes.
And I tell you, we spend so much time looking everywhere else and we miss what's in front of us. And I love that, even if your dad's, parent, best of intentions,
right?
You know, a lot of it is anxiety and driven around their own fears, around what they think that you need because they lacked something. So they're missing, they're trying to make you're missing. And there's nothing more powerful than saying, look, this ain't even a thing I'm worried about right now, and you're not gonna make it a thing. You know what I mean? And you're right, nothing is missing is a phrase we can all kind of grasp and use in any way, shape, and form for ourselves or for others.
Yeah. Or even if we're feeling like we're being oversold to, over marketed to.
Oh, well, I mean, as a professional marketer, which you do for a living, you know, and I also do a fair share of marketing as well, you know, that is what marketing is.
It is.
It literally is making you feel the pain point of a gap and then convincing you we know how to fill it. That is marketing 101. And again, as women, as marginalized people, as women of color, I mean, constantly we are being told we lack.
Yeah.
Whether it is, if your hair is curly, it should be straight. If it's straight, it should be curly. If you are too big, you should be thinner. If you're too thin, you should be bigger. I mean, more so as Black women than you know. Like, I mean, being thin, you're being told you need more curves. Like, how dare you not have all these things? You know, it's just, there's no end to it, you know? And if you're willing to, when you see that type of messaging come in, just say to yourself, nothing is missing. It doesn't mean you're not going to go out and get something new and nice, but you're not going to do it seeking a fulfillment that is driven by someone else telling you something versus the fulfillment of a personal desire, you know? And that is where we should be.
Absolutely. Something that I like to ask myself constantly is, who is benefiting from this? Whether it's a desire that I have or something that I feel like I need to rush and do, or some act of scarcity, who is benefiting from me feeling this way, or who is benefiting from me giving into this thing? And it's makes you pause.
It does make you pause. Okay. And what's interesting about that is the who is benefiting. You know, you'd like to think that the default would be like, okay, if the answer is me, that I will benefit, then that's why I want to do it. But I think a lot of women, especially those who have families or jobs, will also arrive at those answers. Well, the kids are, well, my spouse is, or my partner, or my business is, and then we'll accept that as a valid reason as well. And I just want to encourage people who follow that line of thinking to also put a prioritization in place. Because if you are not amongst that list of things that are benefiting, then the thing needs to be recalibrated 100%.
100%.
And there's nothing selfish or wrong about that.
Right.
You know, like it doesn't mean we can't do selfless things.
Right.
You know, the benefit can be, oh, well, I'm doing this charity thing for my church at no cost. And the benefit is I feel really good about that. And it aligns me with my faith, you know, and around giving. And that is a good thing. That's allowed.
Yeah.
But you're allowed to include yourself on that list, girl. Please include yourself on that list. Like you have to.
Everything can't be at your expense.
It cannot. I'm expensive. You know, like I am very expensive, you know, and the thing, and the world should be able to afford what I'm going to show up with, because I do know that I show up very big. I do not half step. If I am blessed to be in the room, I'm going to give my all. If I have 5 minutes with someone in an elevator, they're getting all of me. And so I should treat myself the same way.
Yeah.
Like, why am I shortchanging me, you know, when I make everyone pay full price?
Yes. Yes. That's actually a perfect segue to what I would love to ask you about next. And you kind of touched on this a little bit when you were also talking about your health and mentioned that you had high blood pressure and you were experiencing facial paralysis. You've also had a really inspiring health and wellness journey that we've been on with you. And so I would love to hear about the tipping point of what started that for you and maybe some non-negotiables that have helped you prioritize your health.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a very distinct moment. I actually don't think I talk about this in my book, but it's a distinct moment where I was getting off stage and I was at my heaviest. So one of the things that I always try to calibrate it with is I loved myself thick, like overweight, you know, like I actually was 100 pounds overweight. I have never disliked my body. And that was actually an issue for my health because I still could dress cute. I still liked the way I looked. Like I never looked at myself and said, oh, I'm a big girl or anything, nothing negative. Like you couldn't really tell me anything about myself. Like I was very okay with my body. And that meant that I would neglect some of the health things that went along with it because I was like, well, I look okay. I feel fine. I got a man. Like I do okay, right? Like I feel good. Well, what happened was I was on a trajectory where I was continuing to put on weight. And there's this mental thing that I think we can all kind of relate to. You know how they teach you about your body kind of up until like 13? You know, where it's kind of like your body's going to change and hormones and this. Well, I need that same chat again at like 31. Oh, you know what I mean? Like where they're like, oh, by the way, your body's going to change. Your hormones, you know, and then I need that chat again at like 42. Right. Your body's going to change, you know, because it does change and you can't keep doing the same stuff because you have to answer to what your body's needs are, right? It's not about appearance, just your needs. So my body was changing, you know, and my lifestyle had changed. And I was still doing what I did before, which wasn't serving my current season. And that meant that I was putting on weight, you know, and I was putting on weight with a more demanding lifestyle. So my body just physically could not keep up. In the past, if I needed to lose weight, I would just like start running. You know, I'm like, okay, I'll just run. I'll work out a little bit. It'll fall right off. Well, I will never forget when I realized I was at my heaviest weight, close to 300 pounds, like literally just shy of 300. And I was like, I'm feeling a little tired. I should probably just start working out. So I just started working out and I blew out my knees. Like I was like, because I'd never run on my knees with that type of weight before. So I was like, oh, my body's not doing what it used to. My old solutions aren't working. What do I need to do? And then I go to do an event and I get on stage and I have a very high energy keynote, you know? No surprise, right? I'm like team the most right now. So I have a very high energy keynote and I'll never forget, I got on stage and I was out of breath for like the first probably like 2 minutes of it. Like I couldn't really like talk, you know? And I was like, this is a problem. You know, my weight is interfering with my calling. And I want to be able to, I'm so blessed to have found my purpose so early. I want to be able to continue to do this. I want to be with my babies. Like, I just need to get healthy, whatever that means. I don't care about the look. It doesn't need to be a size 2. It doesn't need to whatever. I just need to be able to not be out of breath. I need to be able to like walk without my knees hurting. And I need to make sure that my heart isn't working too hard so that I use all my beats well. You know, I don't want to be beating extra beats, you know? And so it's true. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think of with blood pressure is just like, oh, if my heart only has, you know, 10 million beats, you know, and I'm doing 3 or 4 of them when I could have only been doing 1, then I'm using up heartbeats, you know, that I can use at the end, you know? So I want to keep all my beats. So that said, that was when I was like, okay, let me just start with food. If I can choose life on my plate, you know, eating different things, you know, that still taste good, but help me eating for the reason that I'm trying to, like, I need to eat green things so that I have the energy and nutritional balance to be able to like work, right? So if I eat a biscuit, it tastes good and I'm allowed to eat things that taste good. But if I feel tired later, then I'm not able to do my job. It was like really simple stuff instead of I'm losing weight for class reunion or I'm losing weight for a photo shoot, you know? But
that's what's sustainable. When you look at it that way and understanding what your body needs, that's when you do it.
And it also allowed me on the other side to choose to eat when I wanted to eat something that I felt wasn't typically body fuel, but was like heart or mind fuel. So like during the pandemic, I built a very deep relationship with caramel popcorn and fudge. And we were not breaking up. And I was not, you know how people in the pandemic, I'm gonna come out of this with abs. I'm gonna come out of this with, you know, we're gonna use this season for whatever. I'm not using this season for anything. We are in a whole global pandemic, okay? If this is gonna be the end, Jesus is gonna meet me fat, okay? The last thing I'm gonna do is have this whole world go up in flames and then I'm in front of the Lord like, oh, I have a six pack. For what?
He don't care.
He don't care at that point. He can meet me chunky. He'll still recognize me. Let me eat this fudge. Okay, whatever I need to get through this season, you know? And it was guilt-free because I knew it was an intentional choice, you know? And I think I put on like 22 pounds, you know, something like that. And it all came off afterwards, you know? But because that was what and it came off gradually, you know, but it came off after. So, and I think I put a little bit more back on because I started dating and whatever. And I was like, this is great. I just want to eat this stuff. I'm in LA, whatever. But now it's coming back off again, you know, like I'm in this beautiful flow, you know, where my body is matching the moment and what I need it to do. And there's not like guilt around that, you know, like I buy bigger pants because sometimes my thighs need more room and that's okay. You know?
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's been a journey, but fortunately I can honestly say that that part hasn't been wrought with the same emotion that I think a lot of people have, but I'm hoping that my insights around that may help people who are looking for the freedom and loving their body for the job that you're here to do.
I think there's so many great reframes in there. Choosing life on your plate. Beautiful way to put it. Making sure your heart doesn't give too many beats. Beautiful way to put it. Your body meeting the moment. Like those are all such real things that I think can be really great reframes for people who may be stuck in a different place.
Yeah, especially when you have daughters too. I have 3 girls. So I also want them to love their bodies in whatever season they're in.
Absolutely.
So, you know, transparently, my eldest daughter who's 24 is in recovery. You know, she has substance abuse, you know, issues. And so she's thankfully a year sober. And, but during her sobriety journey, one of the things that happened was she put on some weight, you know, and that was difficult for her, you know, because it was like, I'm used to being smaller and my body's changing. And, you know, and I was like, look, you're sober. If that's the thing that right now is requiring all your energy to carry, I don't care if you're like, today I'm eating a pizza because I'm not using, you know, and this is what's comfortable for me. And this is what works. Like, we can work on the weight part. You know, you've got time for that. You're actually making the right choice to eat the pizza because my brain cannot calibrate meal planning or working. Like, and the same thing applies to mamas. You just had a newborn baby. What are you talking about getting the baby weight off? Like, are you kidding me? Your body was literally just going through a controlled car accident to create life. Like, girl, take care of the baby, eat the donut. You know what I mean? Like, you can always, you know what to do to get the donut off if it matters, you know, but right now you're doing everything you can with what you have and that is enough.
Choosing life in another form.
Nothing is missing. You know, nothing is missing.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Look at extracting. I'm telling you, I'm out here telling my whole business. I'm like, we need to wrap this before I'm like, my social security number is, my blood type is. Like, I'm here telling all my business. Let's know.
We just have like a little bit more business to get into though. Because you've just lived such a full, beautiful life and have so many stories to tell.
Which is wild. Sis isn't even 40 yet.
No, you're still so young.
I regularly pray on it. I'm like, Lord, I don't know what the second half, you know, entails, but let it be, you know, yachts and villas and trips because this first half is a memoir. Okay. Like, I needed to have that Tyler Perry energy. You know, if it's this on the front end, on the back end, it's got to be the redemption story. You know what I mean? Shake the man in the wheelchair and move on with your life. You know what I mean? That's where I am right now. That's where I am.
We're ready for the redemption.
A redemption. Better wigs. Okay. Better wigs.
Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of that, I mean, I do think that that is also like a perfect transition into what I would love to talk to is also love. You know, you have talked about experiencing divorce and what that's been like, and you are now in a new relationship with the Mr. Fella, as you call him, which I love that nickname, your partner, Alex. I would love to talk a little bit more about finding love after divorce and opening yourself up to love after that and how that's been.
Yeah. So I think that, and this is really similar because we've chatted before about kind of your journey and how you started sort of building community as you were discovering sort of your own thing, just sharing it kind of unintentionally, just kind of, oh, I'm doing this and you could do this, you know, but then taking a break from it all and then saying, let me come back with more intentionality because I'm seeing outcomes, you know, that I want to make sure are in alignment. Right. Yeah. And that was very much the divorce process. And I think anyone who's ever gone through that journey, even a really bad breakup or honestly, a really bad breakup with a career, you know, like whatever it is, you know, coming out of it, I was like, I can't be with anyone. And it wasn't in the typical, because I'm tired of relationships. It wasn't that, you know what I mean? Like I definitely was like, I can't be with anyone because I don't even know what I want. Right. And one of the beauties of divorce, which sounds crazy to say, is that if you are saying I am going to start fresh, you get to pick what you want to bring with you and you get to choose what you don't, you know? And that was not lost on me at all. And I was like, so what do I want to take with me? Yeah. And one thing that really was clear to me was I am a wife. Like I am better in partnership. And I thought about it. I was like, okay, am I okay not being, you know, and I was like, yes, I am. Like I'm actually very okay being alone. Nothing is missing with me. I feel good about that. And so that was a season. And I was like, but I like what partnership does for me. Yeah. You know, I like how I work within partnership. The type of things I want to do in life are better suited with an extra set of hands that I love, trust, and are securely attached to me and consistent, you know? And then it allowed me to say, what am I looking for in a partner? So I did all this stuff by myself. I did not do these things while dating. This conversation was happening independently. And then that also meant, okay, well, if these are the attributes I'm looking for, and this is what I'd like to have, which is, you know, being a wife and also wanting more children and all that, then who the heck do I need to be to acquire this thing now that I know? Yeah. And I knew the person I was in my previous marriage would not, even if I got that, would not maintain it. Yeah. You know, so then it became, well, what does that work look like? You know? And so I started doing that work and I didn't know who it would be. I didn't know how it worked. But when I started dating, first of all, dating's changed a lot, you know. In my youth, it was about like an introduction or, you know, maybe you might meet someone while you're out or whatever. But now it is like swipe right, swipe left. And it's like, it's so different, you know, and you're supposed to meet someone on a photo and an age, you know what I mean? And a couple of blurbs if you're lucky, you know. That's very different, you know, than what I'm used to. But the upside is I'm very grown. And I'm a whole adult. And that actually does really well in LA. I don't know, you know, people say dating in LA is tough, but, you know, I just came with it, you know, and I met this great guy and I wasn't not actively looking for anything. My intention was always friendship. I just kind of, I'm in a new city, so I don't need anything. Nothing's missing with me. So if I meet someone and they can be friends, I got a new friend. We went on a date and he is just, I can't tell you about it again, light. I mean, one of the most incredible things about Alex is every morning when we wake up, this is someone who literally turns to me and smiles. Like he just wakes up with a joy about him. It doesn't matter what the day is going to bring or what yesterday already brought, you know, he wakes up like, I'm ready to engage in life. Yeah. I'm here for the living. And that is refreshing, you know, it's refreshing. Yeah. And I'm not so naive as to think that relationships are perfect or that, you know, everything lasts forever. Yeah. But I will take this for as long as I can have it. Yeah. And if I had to exchange, even if I knew that this relationship were to end in 10 years, I would still do it. Because I've gained so much from 5 minutes with this man, you know, and it's helped me discover myself more. Yeah. And it was another brave, bold leap. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I've done a lot in my life, like you said, but now that I've written this book for my babies, so all the answers, you know, that I've got so far, I've fallen in love. I know what that is. Like, I really know what it is to love and be loved. If this was it for me, that's not a challenge, Lord. I'm not saying, but I was saying if this was it for me, I'm good. I'm really deeply good. Like I feel very complete, and every day is a bonus.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's what love is right now.
My heart. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I can't even tell you being
beautiful.
And I think you relate too, right? Like being like strong and driven and being like the oldest child and just kind of, I don't need anything, but instead of thinking I don't need anything, I'm good. Yeah. But thinking I don't need anything. So what would it look like for someone to add?
Yeah. Even more. A bonus. More.
And and also to take off my plate, So like, just like little stuff. Like I had a long day yesterday doing book interview stuff, and I get home and he'd started cooking, just like, and I usually cook all of our meals and I try to do meal prep and stuff for the family. And it's not like you hear the word meal prep, it's like, no, like here's some spaghetti sauce and I made some taco meat. Like it's not fancy, but it's just so it makes our week easier. Yeah. And so he was like, yeah, I just thought I would kind of get things going or whatever, and he's like doing his thing. And I walk in and he stops. He just walks over to me and gives me a hug and all that. And he was like, I hope this helps. Is there anything else you need? And it sounds like such a minor thing. And I hope people who already have this in their relationships understand the value of what they have right now. Just taking a moment to be like, I'm grateful I have that. Yeah. And those who don't, but maybe think they don't deserve or need it, hear that is a baseline that you deserve. Like we deserve to be loved well, and cared for. And I'm just very grateful because in this season, I really am. Yeah, that's beautiful. As somebody who like doesn't have that yet, but wants it, I love hearing that. It's worth it. And it'll find, like, I don't want to say it'll find you, but I'm so deeply grateful that I did not find him 3 years ago. I'm so grateful I didn't find him 3 years from now. Yeah. Timing is everything. Yeah. So there's like, you know how you said nothing is missing. I'm happy right now. That is, there's the solitude of singleness that people hate, but oh gosh, are you not being, your future partner is being prepared for you, like truly, like he's younger than me. Like he was being prepared for me when I was entering kindergarten. His mom was just giving birth to him. Thank you, Mom. Shout out, and I'm grateful for that. Like when I was still married, like, he was being prepared for me. And we talk all the time, the life he was living then, I didn't even like his haircut. You know what I mean? If we met then, it wouldn't have worked. You know what I mean? Yeah. Every element of who he is now, we were prepared for each other, for whatever length of this journey that we're going to be on, and I'm excited for that. And he's also very fine. I don't care what anyone says. If people think he doesn't look good, like that is sign number one, optometrist. Go see them because it is God really just tenfold. I mean, I look at him every time he walks around, I'm like, yes, Lord, all the time, like front, back, side, all the time. He is the prototype. Yes. I am so grateful. I'm just thankful. Period. I was spoiled. Yes. Okay. If people wonder, look, how you doing, girl? Does God, are you God's favorite? Look at my man. It's looking like it. Yes, I am. It's looking like it. Favorite. Indeed. Oh my gosh. But I love that. No, I'm thankful. He's a good man. Yes. I love that. And just examples of also like finding love in your 30s. Yes. That's a real thing. Yes. That's what people really don't think it. And also finding love and like, we're going to start the baby having journey. We're going to, like all of these things, getting married, like I've lived a full life. I've literally put 2 kids in college, heck, 1 in rehab, done a cancer journey, kindergarten, all of this. Yeah. And now I'm literally about to start over and I am like 40. You know what I mean? You can do it over. Absolutely. You can. Many lives. We live so many lives. Many lives. And people act like it's over by 30 and it's not even started. People have a divorce and they're like, oh, I messed it up. Or maybe I can't have a relationship or my picker's not wrong. Like I met a woman once. She was a good friend of mine. Mother who has been married 4 times. She was 75 and each marriage was 10 years long and she had kids in each marriage. And what was interesting was and this was while I was still married, it dawned on me, a 10-year marriage is a real marriage. Like in time. LA time, that is like a 50-year marriage. You know what I mean? That is a real marriage. That's a long time. And she was just 4 different people. And each one was valued to her and each one gave her amazing, incredible kids for that season. And I think a lot of times we just have this concept that, one and done, and God willing, one and done. Yes. I mean, when I tell you, I could not imagine anyone holding a candle to the guy that I'm with now. But if there is someone better in 20 years that is a fit for me, now that I have this baseline for what love is, oh man, he's going to be, I can't even imagine what he would be like, you know? So people should get back out. Don't quit, don't quit on that, because you also deserve to love and be loved, and your children deserve to see that in your life.
Ooh, are you speaking directly to me? I don't have children yet, but
no, but it's true. And also, listen, not even children. The world deserves to see you being loved well. I know it's annoying to watch me gab about my man on social and to see us walking around looking like this just very attractive couple. Like, we have great skin, strong eyebrows, like, I mean, we are out here doing it for this season. I receive that, like, it's got to be annoying. I understand. You know what I mean? But also understand that God is no respecter of persons. What he has done for me, he can and will do for you. And if you saw me then, you never would have guessed I didn't think I'd be here. So it's like, people deserve to see you being loved well, Les. And people love that for you.
Yeah.
Like, I see people being loved well and I'm like, girl.
And I mean, people, my community is ready for it, because I was in Paris earlier this year, and I mentioned on an Instagram story that I saw an attractive man in Paris, and the way my DMs exploded. Find him, talk to him. That's your husband. Learn French. Move to Paris. I was like, y'all.
But also chill though. You know what I mean?
It's a cute man at the mall. Like, we can relax.
Right. See, and that's the thing too, is like, people are so quick to see you in the construct of marriage.
Right.
Just like how people are excited about the party of a wedding and not the partnership of a marriage.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, it's that balance, right? When I say see you being loved well, and I'm excited for it, because I know it'll happen when it does, when you're not ready to talk about it to the world, but we're like, are you still single? And you finally are at the point where like, I wouldn't call it single, but your whole face lights up and glows because there's a person.
Yeah.
Like, you look different, you act different, you carry yourself differently, you serve differently. Like, I have a personification on earth in my life every day of what I imagine God's love is, like unconditional, unwavering, standing in the gaps, just shy of whatever it is. If God loves me more than that, my God, I am so blessed, and people can see that shine on me.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, that's what people are excited for you about, They're excited for that. And it'll find you. When it happens, oh girl. And he's going to be super fine. I know, because you're gorgeous. You know what I mean? You're gorgeous. He's going to look so good. I'm going to tell you.
Needs to.
I'm like,
It's necessary.
My full African mom's going to come out. I'm like, hey, Les, this one is also good. I like him for you. I really do. You know why? Shoulders. The shoulders are good.
You get it.
Yes, the shoulders are good. He looks like he can hold at least 10 children in each hand.
Exactly. You get me.
Yes. We're manifesting. We're bringing it into the world right now. Real time.
Thank you so much. So, Nicole, as we wind down, you're in this season. Your book is coming out. It's out technically today. It's out on shelves everywhere. On tour, all of these things. This is a whirlwind of a season. How are you pouring into yourself in this moment during this cyclone?
So I'm not denying help, which is a big part of it. And I'll be transparent, and anyone who's listening right now, I have big goals. I'd love to be a New York Times bestselling author. And if you're listening to this on October 10th, I will find out in 8 days if I am. And one of the things that's really hard, including saying this right now, is in order to get there, you got to sell books. Literally every single purchase counts in a very real way. And I know the book is powerful and great, but I also know that I have to ask and say, look, if you're thinking I'll get this eventually, in the next 8 days, it'll still matter. It'll still be meaningful, but it has like triple the impact right now. If you just added it to your cart and said, Nicole Walters, nothing is missing. If you check out now, because life will get you distracted, it'll make a difference, and that is part of how I'm keeping it all together is just being bold in my ask.
Love it.
And also bold in accepting.
Yes.
Alex was like, hey, I've moved some things around so I can come on tour with you. And I was like, oh, don't make me that girl who brings her man everywhere. I was like, I want to be that now, And he was like, honestly, I'm just there to stand in the gap.
Yeah.
So if it's that you're too tired and I have to carry you, if it's that I need to bring you food, if it's that, he was like, I just want to be there. And he was like, and above all else, I'm excited to see you shine.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's that.
Yeah. Love that. Asking for help and being open to receiving help. because those two things, you need both.
Like when your mom's like, oh, I'll come over and sit with the baby. And you're like, oh, like, no. It's like, just say yes and then go take a nap. Don't go fold laundry. Yeah. Just say yes.
Yes. 100%. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today, for your openness, for your vulnerability. Everybody, make sure you get Nothing is Missing. It's out now. We'll also link it in the show notes to make it easier. You don't have to go anywhere. Just click the link in the show notes to get the book. Where else can we find you? How else can we support you?
Well, right now you can head over to nothingismissingbook.com, grab a copy, add to cart, then get another copy, for a friend for Christmas, then get another 20 copies for the business. Truly, that would be the best way to support and help right now. But you can find me all around the internet at Nicole Walters.
Perfect. We'll make sure all of your information is linked in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Balanced Black Girl. Make sure to subscribe, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you like to be. That's where I'll be, and I'll see you next week.